Yo, what is up everyone? Project Rayfin, Fabric Apps, Fabricator. I've been hearing people talk about these three things. And in that context, they're saying, hey, I'm not doing Power BI anymore. What? In fact, I was talking to Alex Powers, one of the best Power BI developers I know. What the developer said was, the reason I like it so much is I can go from nothing to something in minutes. Think about when you were pushing the bounds of Power BI, when you wanted to freeze a row in a matrix and let everything else scroll. If you wanted to do some custom navigations or overlays or things like that. Think about all the videos, crazy videos we've done here on Guy Q. And the developer was like, you can do that now. And you can do it easily. I said, hey, would you ever build Power BI reports again? The response that I got from this developer, I hope not. What? You want to talk about insane, amazing bananas, all rap insane banana amazing? I was like, wait a minute. We, Dyna-Q is built on Power BI and you're telling me no more? I was like, wait a minute. I got to go look at the apps, the Rayfin, and the Fabricator. So, you know what we like to do? Enough of all this talking. Let's do what? Let's head over to my laptop. This is where I usually start when I'm learning about something new, is in the Learn documentation. And so if you go to the overview page, it tells you all about what this app is. It's built on the Rayfin SDK, and developers can create these data-driven applications. Here's some key features, prerequisites. You need Fabric. You need a capacity. You need to have the tenant setting enabled, and you need to be a contributor or an admin in the workspace. Piece of cake. And I went directly to this one, create an app connecting to my semantic model. I'm like, okay, so that means I got to configure, download, install a lot of things. If you go look at the how-to guides, there's so many things you need to do. I don't want to do that. And there's something interesting here. It said currently the Rayfin CLI is the supported way to create apps using the data app templates. If you use the template, it handles the authentication. It handles generating the DAX. It handles creating the visuals for you, just like Power BI. But even if you use the template, you still have to do some configuration and some setup. And that's where this Fabricator thing comes in at. So I went over to the Rayfin Fabricator GitHub repo. Shout out to Sachin. Appreciate you for creating this. If you scroll down a little bit, you can see it runs on Windows and Mac OS, which is great because everybody doesn't have a PC. But if you scroll down, I like the comment right here. Building a Rayfin app usually means living in your terminal. No, I don't want to live in a terminal. Scaffold with one CLI prompt to GitHub Copilot CLI, then run Rayfin up, right? What's Rayfin up anyway? But you don't have to do any of this when you have the Fabricator. So how do you get the Fabricator? Easy. Download and install the Fabricator right here. Once it's installed, you just search for the Fabricator and you run it. I already have it open here. The first time you install it, it'll say, hey, you don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have this. You want me to install it. No wrangling. That was the first thing that had me going, I'm worried, am I going to stay here and not create Power BI reports anymore? So I'm going to go new project. You can choose a new data app and you give it the project a name and then you create project. And then you have a blank chat window. So I'm going to go back to my project. And once you get connected and everything, you'll sign into Fabric and then you just enter a prompt. And I said, create a data-driven application based on my semantic model. And so you can see this is my semantic model. I grabbed the URL and it took a bit for it to create it. But then when it was finished, this is what it produced for me. Here's my revenue page with everything I want. And then it created my guest satisfaction page because I actually asked it to create 2 pages in the app, one for revenue, one for guest satisfaction. It did exactly what I wanted, but it didn't add a filter, a slicer. So I gave it a prompt and I said, hey, add a year slicer to both pages for any trend and graph. And it did that for me. And so now if I choose it, you can see it'll automatically adjust for me based on the slicer values that I selected. But I wanted to do more because something that I noticed, it doesn't have cross highlighting. Something else I noticed is that on my cards at the top, if I clear out my filter, if I say all years, maybe I want to adjust. If it's billions here, right? Oh, look, it automatically does it for me. Never mind, I don't need it. It's automatically changing this. If you think about in Power BI, if you switch from billions to millions, you have to do something to switch it back and forth. And so what you can do is if you go down here, you can see you can choose different models depending on your license with GitHub Copilot. I'm just choosing auto right now, but I have lots of licenses available. The reasoning effort, And then if I go to settings here, I turn on experiment so I can choose my chat mode selector. Just like I'm in GitHub Copilot and VS Code. And so I can tell it if I want to be in plan mode, autopilot mode, or agent mode. There's a lot of flexibility built directly into this thing. And you can switch. If I go back to settings, if I don't want to be in system mode, I can go whatever my system is. I can go in dark mode, light mode. I like the dark mode. Even in my report, I can switch between dark and light mode. If you want to just design this, you can open this all the way up and then you can go in design mode and then you can start moving things about if you want to. We're not going to do that in this video, but you can. You can start dragging and dropping and moving things. In fact, if you want to, let's minimize this. I wanted to add a new slice of revenue. I went through some iterations because at first it was caching the data. My year slicer, it actually hard coded the data. And I was like, don't do that. I don't like how the year filter is static, list of values. I want it to fetch a distinct list. And it said, okay, hold my coffee. And it did it. And I said, I want to add a slicer manually. How would I do that? And then it showed me, it gave me all the code. I'm like, I don't want to do that. You want me to implement it? Yes, go ahead and implement this, right? So I'm going to say, yes, it's going to cost me some tokens, but without me writing code, now it's doing the implementation for me. It does a lot of validation behind the scenes because it's generating DAX. And so it says both injection paths are successful with the region. Now it's got to render it. And so it's creating the file. Oh, it's deploying. It's deploying. Look at there. There's regions, right? So now if I filter this, you can see this is filtering down the mountain. This is filtering down the Midwest. I can filter everything down by region now also, which, is great. And then I'm going to send it one more prompt and then we're going to hop out to the service because I want to show you what this looks like in the service. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But I'm going to hop out to Power BI. You can see my semantic model that this is built on. Remember that semantic model. If I go out to my workspace, you'll see the app here. If I open this app up, you see there's my app. All the functionality. There's my different pages. There's a table that it built down here. Think about how long it would take you to build something like this. And I'm not saying this is perfect, but with just a few prompts, I have something that I think is really usable that I can start sharing with people and getting feedback, reducing the amount of time I go from nothing to something. But if you go back, there's so many things to show in this Fabricator. So while it's working, we talked about the code. So you can go and you can see the code. You can open it up in VS Code. I have it open in VS Code. So if you wanted to manually add things, you can see my 2 pages right here. If you wanted to move things around, you could do all that. I'm not writing code, but you're welcome to. Look at this. I can see my model right here in the app. So I don't have to switch to Power BI to look at my semantic model. It brought that semantic model in. So if I was curious about, I want to add a filter on luxury tier, I can just tell it. Or I can go manually do it. I can ask it, hey, how do I manually do this? It'll give me the step-by-steps to do this. Yes, it costs tokens. Yes, you need Fabric. But think about how much time you could save using this. Last place I want to show you is the advisor. So the advisor will review your app for security and best practice issues. You should run this before you expose this to other people. So let's go to Bill. It's working on all the things we need to do, we want to do. Okay, look at this. It's exciting. It's exciting. Let's expand this out. So it's showing all data. So if I pick something, look at that, right? It's showing me what I'm filtered by, right? And then it adds a little clear all button for me, okay? Then, look at that, right? So there's my cross highlighting. It's not working on every visual. And I'm not telling you this is going to be 110% perfect right out of the box, right? But this is one of the things I truly love about analytics. A dashboard shouldn't just display information. That's why I made those changes with filters and interactions. It should let someone explore. You should be able to click something. You should be able to ask another question about what's going on. You should be able to follow the data down a path. And this is where the conversation from earlier started making more sense to me. Would you ever create a Power BI report again? That response is stuck in my head. I hope not, but I don't think the point was Power BI gets put on a shelf and it goes away. I and a lot of you have built our careers stretching Power BI beyond what most people thought was possible. But what happens when we erase those boundaries? What happens when they completely disappear? What happens when you aren't limited by the report canvas? You need that frozen top row. Maybe you just build it. Need a different user experience? You just use the Fabricator to build it. Does that mean abandon Power BI? Of course not, no. Tools don't replace each other to be valuable. They can coexist. And I don't think Power BI developers should be worried, but I do think the role of a Power BI developer changes. The future isn't about who can drag the most visuals on the page. And the past shouldn't have been about that either, to be honest, because the canvas might change, right? It may become an app, it may become Power BI, but the skill set, it doesn't disappear. Knowing the data still matters. Understanding the user absolutely matters. Knowing how to tell a story matters. Knowing what looks good matters. Those skills might actually become more and more valuable. And honestly, I think the semantic model becomes even more important, because one reason this was so successful is because the model existed. The reason it worked was because the model existed. The relationships, the measures, the definitions, the foundation is what made this possible. And I really want your thoughts on this. Does something like this excite you, or does it make you nervous? Because I think this conversation is just getting started. And so, as always, thanks for watching. And guess what? We'll see you in the queue.